and gentlemen, welcome back to the workshop. It is fantastic to have you here as ever. As you know, we are in the midst of building a cavalry saber. And to build this cavalry saber, we're needing to learn about lost wax casting using investment, which means that I need to build a vacuum chamber. The way we were doing it wasn't cutting it. It was cutting corners. We want to try and make it better. So I'm going to build a vacuum chamber. The first thing that I need to do is go out and run some errands to get some parts. I am back from running errands, and I have, I think, what we need to build ourselves a little vacuum chamber. We have a 3 CFM 2-stage vacuum pump. It's probably going to break on the third try. We have some acrylic sheets. I have 3 of them. I really wanted to find thicker acrylic. I couldn't find thicker acrylic. We may end up not using acrylic, but if we need to use the acrylic, we know how to glue it together with this stuff. I have high-temperature gasket material if I need it. I've got gasket maker if I need it. I've got loads of fittings and little bits of black iron pipe we can use for us to make this little vacuum chamber. So I need to make a plan on that, but I'm pretty excited to make this happen. This is going to be a fun little forge. No, not forge and fab. This is going to be a fun little fabricating project indeed. Okay, I've got my schematic of how this little vacuum chamber is going to look. Vacuum pump, hose, pipe, valve, pipe, elbow pipe, chamber. All we've got to do now is start cutting steel. I'm planning on using 1/4-inch sheet or plate for this. The dimensions of our cube are going to be 7 inches by 7 inches by 9 inches tall. And then we're going to have different top plates that will bolt in place that will either allow us to be able to observe as we vacuum out the bubbles from occurring investment, and 2, be able to vacuum out a casting as the material is still liquid. Hopefully be able to solve both issues. We've got the parts for the vacuum chamber. I got a vacuum pump. I got all that fun stuff. I'm going to be taking some 1/4-inch plate, and I'm going to start cutting the steel with the plasma cutter. Okie dokie, so I have all of my edges ground, a little chamfer on it. I want clean steel. Building a vacuum chamber, this is going to be difficult. I need to make sure that I'm making something that is airtight and able to be strong enough to withstand extreme pressures, I guess. Is it a pressure if it's negative? Shows you how much I know. Anyway, this is all going to be fabricated together. And this thing arrived the other day, and I was about to start fabricating on the old welding table. But the old welding table was very much like okay, we need a welding table right now, so let's make sure that we have a solution for it. Let's quickly build a welding table, get it done, perfect. But ever since Jason from Fireball Tools came and visited, and he started letting me know about how good a nice fixture table with holes in it that's nice and flat is, and just how much it's going to help fabricating things and help a beginner like me be able to fabricate better parts, I've been really excited about the idea of having one. Well, Stronghand Tools, same folks that make these things, they sent me one. Have a look at that thing. Look at all of those beautiful holes. There is so much layout potential with this thing here. This is one professional little welding table right here, 2x4. I'm excited to get this thing set up. I'm pretty sure this right here is a table that you use when you're doing your plasma cutting that goes out on the side. Awesome. Big thank you to those guys for sending me this. I'm going to use it to fabricate these plates. The first thing I need to do is get it off the pallet. Hey, and look at that! New fancy schmancy welding table, ready to find its home. Here we go. Pull this out of the way. Oh yes. I don't know if this is exactly where it's gonna go. Once I know exactly where it's gonna go, I'm gonna level it using these leveling feet here. For now, it's just on the wheels. This is gonna be nice, and we're gonna use this to start welding up our pieces. And so it's time for a little bit of MIG welding. I'm gonna keep it nice and hot. I'm gonna get a lot of penetration in the welds. Hopefully make this airtight. Update here, I'm not actually going to start welding. I only have 7 pieces. I meant to have 8 pieces. I forgot to cut the bottom. So I'm going to do plasma cutting and then welding. I'm not doing so well today. My maths were just a little off in cutting that new plate. Time to start all over again, back to the plasma cutter. Oakley dokley, the most difficult part, I'm sure it's the most difficult part, is done. I have weld beads all around the inside, so hopefully they are airtight, but I'm gonna make sure that I can double check that they're airtight by welding the outside. So I have all the seams along the outside and all the bottom to weld up, so hopefully this is gonna go just fine. Maybe I'll give it a little bit of a clean so we got some, nice clean surfaces to work on. I have the welder dialed all the way up. I'm putting in as much heat as this welder can give. I want as much penetration on it, so hopefully this is gonna withstand the pressures or negative pressure. Okay, so I'm welding along, and I've made a couple nice beads, and I'm welding along, and up until then, I had been welding, with a hand stabilized on the back of this, and I was getting pretty comfortable. I was thinking to myself, gee whiz, Alec, you're one cool cookie with these nice weld beads you've done. I think these are the nicest weld beads you've ever done. I then got a little too high away from the workpiece with the old nozzle. And in case you don't know, the whole purpose of a MIG welder is that you have a wire feed. So you're feeding the wire out through the machine, and in the same hose that's feeding the wire, in the same kind of whatchamadoodah, is being fed a mix of argon and CO2 and whatever your favorite cocktail of choice of welding gas, that is fed through too, because when the steel, this filler material, and the base metal, this steel down here, is molten, it likes to react with the oxygen, and it likes to form bubbles, porosity. That's what happened. So I thought to myself, no big deal, I'll just go grind it all out. You'll see here the grind marks from the 9-inch angle grinder. It did a pretty decent job of grinding nice and deep. I thought I got through all the little bits of porosity that formed after I backed off a little bit too much on the torch. I took another pass with the welder, try and go back through and weld it all up. And look at that, the beginning and the end covered in bubbles and porosity, which I imagine means that I contaminated the area with oxygen in the weld material, which meant that even when I went back through it, the bubbles showed up again. So now what I need to do is I'm going to go back in the grinding room and I'm going to take down this entire section of weld here. I'm going to just take that all down. I'm going to go down nice and deep. We're going to see if we can weld back through it and recover from this incident. If we don't recover from this incident, we start all over again, and you'll be seeing me on part 2 of building a vacuum chamber. No! The porosity came back. Now I've already troubleshot this. I'm gonna go through it again. I definitely have gas, and I have enough of it. It's definitely flowing. Must be contaminated. Just the worst project for me to not get proper gas coverage on. I am such a numpty. I should gotta focus. on where your nozzle is while you're welding. Otherwise, you're gonna mess it up just like I did. So I think the next step is more grinding, and then we're gonna continue flogging this dead horse by trying to weld back over it. We've been making progress. I've got this 3/8 nipple welded on. I put this coupling on there so we didn't get too many weld beads on the threads. It is now time to work on the flanges and drilling some holes. Okay, so I have a whole boatload of holes drilled. We have 5 holes on each side of our flange. They are just a smidge over 3/8 so that we have some leeway because I want to use 3/8 bolts. I drilled the holes in this one flange and I then took this. This is a transfer punch to transfer the holes from one plate down onto the other. That gave us some nice center punch holes to work off of. To drill the rest, used a center drill, then went in with the final size drill bit. Got all the holes in there. A little bit of countersinking, all well and good. The next step is one of these top plates here. We need to be able to see through it. We want a little viewing window so we can put some acrylic on it. I'm not exactly sure how strong that Perspex or the acrylic that we have is. It's this stuff right here, and it's about 220 thou thick. It's about 5 millimeters thick. I don't know how strong it is, so we're probably going to make it a pretty small viewing window. But it means that we're going to have to go back to the plasma cutter, we're going to have to drill some more holes, we're going to use some gasket maker, bolt down some acrylic, make ourselves up a little viewing window. We've got our acrylic bolted in place. This gasket sealer just needs to set a little while. Meanwhile, we have to make a gasket here out of some gasket material. The gasket has been cut. It's now time for us to put it in place. This is hopefully going to seal these rough surfaces. Once it's all bolted, hopefully it's going to help make it airtight. This has had some time to cure. We're going to tighten up these bolts on the acrylic too. We're going to bolt all of this together, and then it's time to work on the plumbing. I should probably put something in here before I completely close it up. How can I tell? I need a water bottle. That's gonna do it. Everything is frozen out here. We're gonna make some soap. Okay, so we're making bubbles in our brand new Freedom Height mug. Get yours, alecsteelshop.com. And hopefully they stay there a while. And we're gonna put that in, and now we'll start bolting. So, I just thought of something.
What's that?
Our investment has a working time of 8 minutes.
Yeah.
I've spent at least 4 minutes just to get 4 bolts in.
Well,
Clamps. We've got to see if it's gonna work with just clamps. I think we need to see if this thing's gonna pull a vacuum without bolts and with clamps. Well, we're gonna have to see how the Starfisher sucks. We are gonna do some plumbing right here so we can see if it'll pull a vacuum. Okay, it is now the moment of truth. We gotta get some power to it, and we gotta see, firstly, does this thing turn on? Do I have it set up right? And then secondly, is it gonna pull a vacuum? We have a ball valve here. I disemboweled a tool that seemed to have some sort of vacuum pressure gauge on it. I put that on here. We have this beautiful array of clamps here, which are hopefully gonna hold it all tight enough. Again, the reason for the clamps is we gotta see if we can use clamps because it's gonna be faster than bolts because we're gonna be under a time pressure with this thing. There is a mug down there with some soapy water so you can see the bubbles. I imagine if there's a vacuum, those bubbles should disappear. We'll also be able to see it on the dial here. So, the moment of truth is now, does this thing suck or not? Does it suck or does it suck? Here we go! It hasn't turned on. Is there a button? Oh, there's a button on the back. Here we go! I'm now gonna pull the ball valve. Oh my goodness! It's actually pulling a vacuum. Let's look in the bubbles. Let's see what's happening. Oh my goodness! Something seems to be happening. I think something's happening. Oh my goodness. Whoa! We made a vacuum! Yes! Woo! Moment of truth is gonna be this. I just pulled the ball valve. It definitely has a leak.
yeah.
But not enough of a leak that I'm gonna be that worried. This is gonna get the job done. The vacuum chamber works. This is exciting because this means that I can now get back to working on the Cavalry Saber project with Will. So make sure you subscribe if you're new so that you can see this vacuum chamber in action while we cast some bronze or brass and mix up some investment. I am extremely excited about that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Oh, don't forget, go grab yourself some awesome merchandise like this. Or like this awesome vacuumed Freedom Height mug at alecsteelshop.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. Pleasure as always. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.